Hey everyone, welcome to our weekly Friday Ask Me Anything. I said everything. You can ask me everything. This is my favorite time of the week because I really love connecting with you guys and seeing what's coming up for you and just simply offering support where I can. So if anything is coming up, I see some people popping on. If anything's coming up for you, this is your opportunity to let me know, what is up for you in the world of money, in the world of sex, in the world of spirituality. This is also an opportunity for you to get to know more about me. If there's anything that you want to know, I sometimes don't know what you want to know, and I don't know what your questions are and what you're struggling with. So this is the opportunity to do that. So I'm going to be here just loving you. And you guys can type in comments. If you're on Instagram, you can actually go on live with me. If you do that, then I will gift you a 60-minute session with me, which is pretty awesome because that session goes really, really deep into your desire and how to help you get there. So if you go on live on Insta with me and jump on, we'll do some work together, play a little bit, let me play with your energy a tad, then you'll get that session complimentary, and normally that's $500 for that hour. So this is a pretty big gift. So you can come on with me if you desire. I see some people coming on. And for those of you on Instagram, I kind of have to repeat myself a few times. This is Ask Me Anything. So you can ask me whatever you want. I'm totally open, ready to receive all the questions. We can even start a discussion. So whatever is here for you right now in this moment, you let me know. Let's see, I've got some people. Hi, people on Instagram. Hey, Shay. Shay says that priceless opportunity to work with me and highly recommend that you take me up on it. I agree. These, I've often had, that one session, that first off session with people, just in 1 hour, something really crazy and cathartic and alchemical happens where people have the experience of just talking in full acceptance and allowance and love of themselves, and then boom, next day they email me and all of a sudden, like, all these huge shifts in their sex life, and they're pulling in money like nobody's business, and the magic just starts to sink in. And so it is really quite an opportunity to be able to play there. And it's not me, it's this weird channeling thing that happens. And so I'd love to gift it to you. Hey, Chelsea, honey. Chelsea's on Instagram. So this is Ask Me Anything. You can ask me whatever you desire. And I'm just going to be here. And I'm totally patient and totally willing to wait until the questions pop up. And I won't wait longer than about 3 or 4 minutes, though. And at that point, I'll probably go, but I will be here to take questions. You can also DM me any private questions that you don't want public, and I will answer them anonymously. As well, if you're on Facebook, you can message me privately. And then I do these every Friday, so if questions pop up throughout the week, you can email me and I can make sure to answer your question, which I've been doing the last couple weeks. That's been really fun. I didn't get any this week, though. So cool. I'll wait to see what's coming up. Oh, I just got a question. Hey, Christina. Oh, this is a fun one. International Women's Day. She's asking a question for women, I'm assuming. Christina, thank you for your question. Christina said, how do you energize instead of being drained by men and their sexual demands? Thank you. So Christina, my intuitive hit in this, and this might not be a question for you, but I'm assuming it is because it came up from you, is that there's a place in you, there's an intuitive, energetic place in you that is giving in or ignoring that little voice inside of you that doesn't want to do some of the things that you're doing, right? There's a place in you that is kind of just going along with it. And the one thing that I've learned over the past few years is that sex should never be a practice of compromise. It's not what it is, right? So if they have demands, right, our partner has demands, which really should never be a demand, but if they have desires and it's not something that's in our turn on, it is not your requirement or your responsibility to do that thing, right? Now, what I do is if a partner has a desire and it's not my turn, not in my turn on, right? Which, you know, even despite all the work I've done, there are places where I don't like to go. I then take it on from an empowered place and I say, I'm going to see if I can find turn on in this activity. And I keep listening into my body and I'll do a little bit of the activity and then I'll pull back and I'll check in and I'll go, how did that feel? Did I like that? Did I not like that? So I'm making the choice to lean into the discomfort, right? And that leaning in is allowing me the opportunity to learn more about myself. So it's not like that I'm giving, and then I'm drained. It's a, wow, what an experience and what a lesson that I'm having now because of their desire that they brought up. Now I get to go on this full ride within my own sexuality that I didn't know I was going to be having. So that's one piece of it, Christina. And let me know if I'm on the right mark here, if that's something that you're finding yourself doing, like just kind of working to please the partner, and or not, right? As I might not be. And I see more questions popping in. So cool. I just want to make sure, Christina, the other piece, oh, she replied. Okay, she said, you're so right. My opinion is they seem to often be greedy, especially when they want women to have multiple orgasms. So Christina, are you saying that the masculine partner in your experience is wanting you to have the multiple orgasms, not for you, but for their own self-validation, right? Which happens. I see this a lot, especially in the sexual blueprinting. So if you're attracting men that are in the sexual blueprinting, yeah, this is going to come up. And here's where I was speaking to Chris Bale, who I'm going to have on next Thursday, and he's brilliant at working with sexual energy, and he knows the men's side really well. And I asked him what we need, right, to do as women to help men, not help. I'm so tired of helping men to just give men the instruction of what we desire. And he said, you need to speak up, right? So if the man is working to get you to a place of multiple orgasms, not because of your desire, but because of his own ego self-validation, that's when you stop him and say, actually, I don't like that, right? Actually, this is what I want. Actually, you know, it would really turn me on. This is the language I like to use, Christina, because especially if it's a sexual, you know, it would really turn me on if we stopped for like 15, 20 minutes and you gave me a massage, or if you stop for 15, 20 minutes and we just got to eye gaze, right? Depending on what my blueprint is and where I'm feeling in the moment. Or if we stopped and we just cuddled, and then maybe we'll go back there. So that I'm leaning into his blueprint and giving him what he wants, which is to know that I'm turned on, right? If he's asexual. And I'm also allowing myself to get my desire, which if you're having these multiple orgasms and you're feeling drained, Christina, it means that your orgasms are actually being kind of forced out of you. And I've had that experience, and it is very draining. So what we want to do instead is we want to claim, like, actually let me build up this energy more and let me choose when I want to orgasm, which is a whole different ballgame. One more thing on that. The female energy, the woman energy, that is the sex, right? The female energy is what that's sex, right? And so a male attunement to the female energy, this is the work of the man, right? And they're not going to become attuned if we don't speak up. And so many women are afraid to speak up for various reasons. A lot of it is just shame, right? So much shame about being not good enough or too much or not enough, or I should be like this or I should be like that. And I really want to, women on that International Women's Day, I want us to frickin' release that today so that we can, because we are the sex, we get to start actually standing in that, right? Okay, that feels complete. Let's see. Bria had a question. Let me, Instagram, I have to move you over here. Hang on. Okay, you're going to be over there because I have to read the questions. And reminder, if you're on Insta Live and you want to come on video with me, you will get a complimentary hour-long session with me. This is $500 normally, but to thank you for coming on publicly, I know that's a lot of courage. So I can work with your energy and work with you. You'll get a free complimentary session, probably booked about 2 weeks out. So that's on Insta. You just scroll up and you press like ask to join video or something like that. Okay, let me see. Christina says, yes, it's their egos, right? The ego wants the orgasm. There's also this debunking that I do with a lot of men, which is around squirting. Men often think that squirting equals orgasm. So men that are watching, squirting is not orgasm. And the more the woman squirts, she's not orgasming. You haven't brought her to orgasm yet. Like, that's not what it is. And actually the squirting can be quite draining if that's the only thing you're focused on and you're not getting her full sexual life force energy to come up and through her, right? Squirting is very external focused, and she wants that internal orgasm up and through her whole body, right? So just a debunking for the guys that are watching. Bria says yes, and that she's experienced the forcing on both ends, right? When things aren't going well in our relationship, we use sex to mend it. Yeah, this is really common. A practice that I love that a friend of mine does is her and her partner take sex off the table whenever there's anything funky going on in their relationship, and they make themselves tease each other until they can't handle it anymore. So they make it a little kinky, and they start begging and begging and begging and begging, but it's not a yes until they've reached that love and that connection again that they need. And I think that's really hot. It's a way that you can keep things turned on and still play in this place of like, yeah, let's make sure sex is off the table and we're not using it for anything. Amen to letting me choose how I let up my energy. Yeah. Yeah. Bria said, I hate when they keep making me squirt. Yeah. Yes, because they think that's an orgasm. It's not, guys. Squirting is different. You can have an orgasm that also squirts, but it's a different mechanism in the female body, and it's amazing to me and fascinating to me that this is not taught, right? And even in my own body, I didn't know this until maybe 6-7 years ago. So it's amazing. Like, we just don't know this. Okay, other questions. Oh, Bria said, what are your thoughts on periods of celibacy? I think it's beautiful, Bria. So there's 5 stages of sexuality. This is coined by my mentor, Jaya. Then this is what I play with, and I celebrate all of them. And none of them are hierarchical. We don't need to be in one stage over the other. And we can often shift through many stages. We can choose to be in a stage, or our energy can just go to one. So I'm going to name the stages, and you let me know where you think you are. The first stage is resting. This is celibacy. This is either chosen celibacy, or it's celibacy simply because that's where you are. Like, your body is just not having sex. It's also not having any pleasure, no orgasm practice, right? So maybe you're in the resting phase and you're in the celibacy phase. What I love about resting is that it allows for that energy center, the second chakra, to start to build momentum to output in other ways, not just sexually. So you find yourself playing more, you'll find yourself dancing more, you'll find yourself creating more if it's directed correctly, right? And you can use that as the sexual outlet. if you're doing a celibacy practice without a deep inner work process, I don't recommend it, because we get rageful, or we get shut down, or we start to ignore these places of ourselves. So if the celibacy is happening, I would say make it chosen, and make sure that you have some sort of either outlet or inner deep work that you're doing to heal and mend that place. And there's also, you know, forced celibacy in the kink world, right? And same thing, if you're dominating someone and you're that your submissive is going through a process of celibacy, you want to be giving them something, some sort of deep internal work to do, deep journaling, painting. I've done all sorts of things. Like, you have to go and work out every day instead, right? So whatever, but make sure to give them something so they're not just sitting in this closed down, clamped up space inside of themselves. And Christina says, celibacy has increased my creativity and sovereignty. Yeah, totally. And then there's also like celibacy from other partners, right? And just being internal with your sexuality, which is incredible. I did that for 90 days last year, and I was, it was a process and a journey, and I learned on my body so much unlocking that I didn't know I had. Major sexual sovereignty. It was beautiful. So the 5 stages, I started going through them, then I forgot. So if you're in resting, let us know. I'm curious who we have on the call. If you're in healing, that means that you're moving through a deep healing, sexual healing process. This was me for about 5-6 years, healing my sexual trauma. If you are in that space, you may or may not be having sex. If you are having sex, it's probably resulting in some sort of like emotional release, right? Pain. You're moving through all those emotions, right? Healing is a very, very important part of sexuality that's often overlooked. If you are in healing, please don't force yourself out of healing. Stay in healing, right? Be there for as long as you need to be there until it shifts naturally. With sex, you know, in like the personal development world, how we're always like, you can do it, and we're like pushing ourselves to the next phase. Sex isn't like that at all. It's this very gentle, easy win space. So if you're in the healing or the resting, easy wins. Let yourself be there. Celebrate where you are, right? Let your body really be in that space, in the present, into the right now. We've got some resting healing on Instagram, totally. And then we have curious. So you guys are the people that are on all my lives. You're learning all the things. You want to know everything. You're like, let me just soak up all the sexual information. You're Googling, you're reading up on stuff. You've got all the books. You're going to workshops. And you may or may not be actually doing the things, right? But you're in it, right? You're in the sexual experience. In that you're learning. So that's the curious phase. And it could be also curious about a certain aspect of sexuality, like all of a sudden you want to move into kink and you've started doing your research, which I highly recommend doing before going into kink. So any curious people here? I'm curious if we have any curious. And then we have brain fart. Then we have adventurous. Adventurous, you guys are pushing the edges of sexuality. What is next? Right? Like, okay, we did that. What's next? Right? We did that. Now what do we do? You don't want to have sex the same way every time. You're in a stage of like exploring. It's a wild jungle and you're just like, what are we going to do? Where are we going to go? Right? And then after, I'm curious if we have anyone in that adventurous stage. That's kind of where I land nowadays. And then we've got transformational, which is, I land between these two. Transformational is the what's more to sex. So you're thinking about when you're having sex, you're having these experiences that are like, wow, I'm catapulting myself into the 5th dimension through sexuality. It could even be through kink. It could even be through a massage, guys. Like, it doesn't have to be tantra. So I just want to give you that. It can be. And all the blueprints can be in transformational. So yeah, I like to land in either transformational or adventurous nowadays. I'm curious where you guys are, and it's good to think about where you want to be so that you can start to just allow the energy to move there. Okay, I noticed that we've got some curious people. Yeah, good. So Bria went through the healing and she's curious and really with someone that loves her truly. That's amazing. And you guys get to be in that and be curious. So I have an anonymous question coming up, which I love. Thank you for sending that. Oop, Instagram, I just got a notification that my battery might die. So sorry. If it does, then you can pop on Facebook Live. Okay, the question is, how does one handle the sexual libido disparity in a relationship? I want more sex and exploration, and he wants less and more traditional. Yeah, so Jennifer, oh, I'm sorry, honey, I just said your name, and I totally didn't mean to do that. Good thing I didn't say last name. I apologize. This anonymous question, and I'm sorry, if we need to clean that up after the call, I'll jump on and make sure it's nice and clean and clear for us. That question is one I get a lot, and it has to do with the erotic blueprints and where you guys are in your blueprint. So most likely what's happening is, from what it sounds like, one of you, the person asking the question, you are in adventurous, right, in terms of the stage, and then your blueprint is probably going to be something like sexual or kinky or maybe even shapeshifter, right, where you're wanting to have more sex, right? Let me go through the blueprints real quick because I just want to make sure that everyone knows what they are. So there's 5 of them. The energetic, you guys' superpower is that you can have an orgasm without being touched. It can be a full body orgasm. You're super sensitive. Your shadow is you get dissociated out of your body, overwhelmed very quickly, especially with too much touch. There's the sensuals. You guys' superpower is like the room is always set up to the T perfectly, lighting candles, flowers, all of that. And your shadow is that you can get stuck in your head if something's off in the environment. So the orgasm becomes kind of tricky. That's me. Yeah, we've got one. We've got kinky blueprint. Kinkies are turned on by taboo, naughtiness, right? All of that. And then we've got, and their shadow is that they get stuck in deep, deep, deep shame, which makes sense because our society is not really good at welcoming them. We love you. You're welcome here. Thank you for being here. I'm kinky. I hear you. And then we have sexuals. You guys want sex. You want orgasm. You want penetration. Your shadow is that you may get, your shadow is that you may miss the journey, right? And then there's a shapeshifter, which is that you want everything. And I'm guessing the person that asked this question anonymously, I'm guessing that you're a shapeshifter, because if you're bored, you're probably a shapeshifter. Shapeshifter, you want more and more and more, right? And you have this strong desire, and you're like, give it to me, give me all of it. And your shadow is that you often feel like you're too much, and so you'll retreat or kind of shut down your desire in order for your partner to feel like they're good enough, right, and satisfying enough. There's also this deep need and desire for you to actually get filled. And this is deep for you, shapeshifters. And person that asked the question, I think that you're a shapeshifter. Actually, I see you messaging me. I bet you're going to tell me that you are. I'm guessing. And it's really important that you're fed. So let me just check this message. Yeah, this person's a shapeshifter. So if you, how to do this, how to manage this, right? Your libido, I'm not even going to call it libido, but your desire is much higher. Your desire for more and more and more is much higher than your partner's. You need to become responsible for your own desire to be met, which means that sexual sovereignty, which means that learning how to feed your blueprint, right? How can I feed my blueprint fully so that I come to the relationship fully fed, right? From that place, you can then start to ask for other things that you want. You can then start to ask for threesomes or exploring, BDSM or wherever else you want to go. But it starts with your own journey within yourself, your own self-intimacy practice. So as a shapeshifter, what that would look like is you want to make sure you hit all the blueprints. And actually, I'm doing another self-intimacy challenge. I do these every couple months. If you've done one before, let me know. They're super fun. You can let everyone know about it. Super easy, and it will take you through how to pleasure yourself in the 5 blueprints. Shapeshifter, you'd want to do that, right? So we'll do that in the self-intimacy challenge in a more, I'll give you more direction, but just to start playing now before we go into the challenge, energetic touch you'd start with, right? Or not start with, but you'd make sure it's in there. So you want to make sure all these touches are in there. Energetic would be something like this, like really light touching on the skin or on the hair even of the arm, and it's really gentle. And you just be kind of grazing your body, right? So you're naked, you're doing this, maybe listening to some yoga music, right? And then like after that, move into sensual, which is more of a like full hand on skin. You can take some oil, you can start doing some rubbing, start moving your body, right? So now you're getting the other blueprint of the sensual, right? And then the kinky, maybe you take your hand and pull your hair. Hair pulling, by the way, tip. You don't want to pull it from out here. You go in and grab it from the base and pull there so that you're not getting any like, there shouldn't be any hair in between the hand and the scalp, okay? This is a little tip. So hair pulling, you could do choke on yourself. You're pushing up, not in, right? And then you can also move into the sexual blueprint. So nipples, you could do genital touching, right? And now the shapeshifter, what I love when I'm feeding a shapeshifter is to do, so say you're doing the sexual blueprinting and then right away you take your hand and you start scratching. So you move some kinky in and then you move some sensual in and then you have some energy music playing, right? So you get all of it at once. You want to get really good at feeding yourself that way if you're a shapeshifter, because then what can happen for you is then you have sex with your partner who might be asexual, it sounds like, maybe a sensual even, probably asexual if they just want traditional sex. You're already so fed in all the other areas that you're not wanting for more, right? So it's your responsibility. I know a lot of us are used to putting the responsibility on our partners to feed us. It's yours to feed yourself. Okay, I've got 2 more questions. I guess I'm going to keep answering them. I don't usually go this long, but why not? And I hope I answered your question, anonymous person, and I apologize for saying your name. We'll clean that up after the call. I want to make sure we're good there. Okay, I have an Instagram question. As a shapeshifter, at a young age, this is from Moon Cordial, I learned to shut my sexuality down. I've recently made the discovery that I've been living very much in my subconscious and hiding from myself. Currently working to open myself up. What are ways I can practice sinking into presence? Yeah, same thing that I told the anonymous question, self-intimacy. Your self-intimacy practice, getting really into your body, because you can't hide from yourself when you, right, when you're so in tune with your own internal desire and your own compass. It's just you and you. There's no one else there. All of it's going to come up. Your parts are going to come out. The parts of you that are scared, the parts of you that you said, you know, shutting your sexuality down, your shame, that's all going to come out in that moment. And there's no one to put it on, right? Which is part of what makes this self-intimacy practice so beautiful, is that you become really present with yourself, your own desire. And then from that place, you can start to step out of hiding, because you're like, I know who to present to the world because I know me so well. So thank you for asking that question. And I'm going to now answer another one on Facebook. Oh yeah, Bria, this is a great question. Thank you. She said, is it possible to identify with one blueprint at one point in life and that changes later? I feel like I was a shapeshifter, but that changed as I entered my 30s. Yes. So a little bit about my own journey. When I first found the erotic blueprints, I was a sexual kinky. I think my top was kinky and right under it was sexual. I was a professional dominatrix. I was having sex like a whirlwind tornado. It was just like wild. And I had so much shame around that. Like I was hiding my own desire, because our society doesn't let women do that, right? Like I wanted to dominate, and I wanted to be submissive, and I wanted to have a lot of sex, and it just felt like something was wrong with me. So I found the erotic blueprints, and I was like, oh, thank God, right? And I learned that this is just the way that my nervous system is currently conditioned, and the way that my nervous system currently relaxes in deep surrender into pleasure, into trust, and into, honestly, my connection with God, right? So I learned that. I let go of the shame. And then what started to happen is, I remember when I first was playing in the blueprints, energetic to me was like, what? Like I could not relate to it. I had no idea what it meant to like feel the energy of your partner's cock, for example. I was like, I don't understand what you mean. Just have sex with me, right? Because I was asexual. So like I didn't understand it. And I made the intention though, right? I made the intention to start to expand into another blueprint, and I wanted to expand into energetic. So I started working to expand my blueprint. I was working with a coach, which I highly recommend. This is what I do with my clients. We expand, right? And I started little by little to expand my nervous system so that I could then hold energetic. Now, when you expand into another blueprint, you will most likely move through the shadow of that blueprint. So for a few months in there, as I was expanding into energetic, I was so overwhelmed and so hypersensitive that I could barely leave my house. That's the shadow of the energetic, right? I was just like, oh my God. And like sex was like, oh my God, I can't. And like, I didn't want to be touched. I was in like the major shadow. And then I healed it, right? Through my own self-intimacy practice, which is always the answer. Also after childbirth, my blueprint swapped. It went from kinky to energetic after childbirth, and then it went back to kinky. And I think that's because sometimes there's physical and biochemical changes in the body that your nervous system now needs different ways to be touched. I know hormones play a big role in these. Ideally, it shouldn't be the partner that changes your blueprint. It should be your own body, because you should know your body and your desires so well that it's not swaying to your partner. That's another shadow, right? We want to keep ourselves really in tune with our own desire. Cool. So Bria, great question. Yes, they change all the time. And honestly, that's why it's so important to know all of them. Because even if yours aren't changing, maybe your partners are, right? Maybe they're going through something and their blueprints are changing, or maybe they're moving through different states. So you have to do the work, the play. It's not really work. You should see the homework that I give my clients. I was just on with a client, and I was like, your homework for the next 2 weeks is to pleasure yourself for 30 minutes a day. And she was like, does that mean 7 days a week? And I was like, that means 7 days a week. And she was like, is this really homework? And I was like, yes, it is. So it's play, guys. It's not like work, but it's intention, right? It's intention, and it's commitment, finally commitment to your own desire and your own sexual expansion, finally. Bria says that she has baby fever. Yeah, when I had baby fever, I went super, super sensual. I don't know what that was. And like through my whole pregnancy, I was super sensual. I just wanted like massages, and then I had the baby and I was like, everyone's hands off me, no one touch me, super energetic. So good to know it. And then you can move with it, right? Okay. I hope those were all super helpful. If you have questions for next Friday's Q&A, you can pop onto my email, send me an email, or you can DM or message me on either Facebook or Instagram, and I'll compile a list of questions and answer them. And I won't say your name like I did to this person. I'm sorry. You will be anonymous if you want to send them out that way, for sure. And yeah, so if any other questions come up, you can DM me, and then I will get them answered for you. Thank you so much for being on. Remember, next week, same thing, 3 p.m. Eastern, which is what, 12 Pacific. I know a lot of you are on the West Coast. And yeah, and I'd love to have someone pop on Insta Live with me in this. You just asked to join a video. So if you have Instagram and you want to do that, and then I can coach you and work with your body and work with your energy, and you'll get a reward of a session that's normally $500 complimentary, because thank you, right? Because that's courage. So just start thinking about it if it's something you want to chime in and do with me. I'd love to get in there and really play with you. All right, great questions, guys. Thank you so much. And I will be with you all again next Friday, my favorite part of the week. Mwah. Love you. Bye.